All right, CP3 may be back tonight. As he missed the last couple games. Remember, he bounced from the Sacramento game 16 seconds left in the first quarter with the lower left leg injury. Has some nerve issue there in the lower left leg, so he should be back tonight, as will Andrew Wiggins, who missed the last 2 nights after slamming his right index finger into a car door. So he missed the Clippers series, a little baseball series. So we're just trying to get back on track. They're 3-7 in their last 10 games. They're just 4-6 at home. They're 9-11. And if the playoffs started today, they wouldn't even be a play-in team. They're a half game behind the Clippers and the Rockets. Phoenix Suns right there in that box. Pelicans in that box. Lakers advances to the in-season semifinals. I can't believe they got awarded. Can't believe they got awarded a timeout. That was just all-time bad. But 888-957-9570. Are you in love with this Warriors roster right now? Does a move need to be made for the Golden State Warriors, as we have 3 days off from them after they blew a 22-point lead against the Clippers on the road? They blew 2 20-point leads on the road last week. Do the Warriors need to make a move?
You know, I was thinking long and hard because I was looking at all their different records over the last couple of years, right? And, you know, just trying to find data, right? And, like, it felt like the playoffs for this team, everything's very different, right? Yep. Everything gets tighter. The vets play more. Like, there's very unique circumstances happen in the playoffs. So I don't want to disregard them, but I feel like I kind of got to throw that to the side for the time being. 18-2 from a couple years ago. Feels so far ago. Iggy was actually playing pretty well at that time. Otto Porter Jr. was playing pretty well early on at that time. Jordan Poole was playing so well. The team just looks so different from what I'm seeing right now, right? And if you just take away that 18-2, no, you take away a 5-game winning streak. No, take away the 18-2. They're about 10 games over 500 over the regular season over the last 3 years. And what has really been their bugaboo, and I think the number one thing that I'm noticing is teams are putting that shot blocker in the paint. Think of what Anthony Davis has done. Think of what Şengün or any of those guys.
Şengün.
Thank you, Goon. Excuse me. Has done against them, where they stay in that paint, okay, and then they're going to double or blitz Steph to some degree, sometimes triple team him, and then they're going to overplay on the three-point line, and they're going to dare you to either beat them off the dribble, hit a mid-range shot, or try to out-bully them in the paint, which the Warriors have been unable to do. And so I'm looking back and I'm saying, like, well, you've got a roster that can't really solve some of those issues that teams are doing to you on a nightly basis. I feel like something's got to give. And I like a lot of guys on this team.
When you bring up the record, there's 10 games after the 18-2 start. Again, there's context to it, right? You know, Klay Thompson wasn't playing back-to-backs. Steph Curry missed 36 games. And Draymond Green missed 36 games, and Steph missed like the last 18 of the regular season. So we didn't even know what they were going to look like going into the playoffs. Remember, they got hot the last 5 games. They won the last 5 games of the regular season going into the playoffs, and then Steph comes off the bench. So there's a lot of injuries here, and I know every team can make that argument. When you got a lot of guys getting in and out of the lineup, I look at the regular season record, I'm like, okay, yeah, they are a 500 team. There's, you know, you're going to be 500 when your main man doesn't play. And I get that Steph misses games. He's going to miss games this season. And, boy, if he does miss games, he's already missed some games, and we've seen what happened. We saw what happened on that homestand when he missed some games. So that's going to happen. That's going to be baked into it. I get all that. But there are nuances to it. There is context to the record or whatnot. But last year, I look at last season, and that season was wrecked, man. That season was wrecked. It was wrecked before it started. And we had to play it out. You go on the road, you lose your first 5 games on the road. You're like, damn, what's going on here? Oh, I know what's going on. They're not bonding. And I know why they're not bonding. And you kind of play through it, and yet you get to the second round of the playoffs and lose to the Lakers at 6. This year's a different team. Obviously, you don't have Jordan Poole. There's no Otto Porter Jr. from a couple seasons ago. There's no Bielitsa from a couple seasons ago. JaMychal Green was unplayable at times. Hell, for most of the season, he was unplayable. But you look at this roster here, you bring in Chris Paul, whose assist-to-turnover ratio is outstanding. But you also realize that you're going to play a lot slower with him in the basketball game.
And he's older, and we all kind of knew he's going to either get hurt or need some time off. Like,
right.
Talking about baked into the equation. Right. You have to account for that when you're assembling a team and you're looking at the ages, and you can't expect them to be as healthy as, let's say, just hypothetically,
right.
OKC.
Right. They're a lot younger. And we knew that, after the Denver game when it was all kumbaya, it was all Capri Suns and orange slices after they lost. It's like, look, man, let's see what they look like against bigger, more athletic teams. And bigger, more athletic teams have been destroying the Warriors because the Warriors are having a tough time staying in front of anybody. You're not going to just get speed all of a sudden. You're not going to get younger all of a sudden overnight.
Well, and I think this is where CP3 does fit the equation because he can help be that second creator in the half court, especially when I look at these fourth quarter execution lapses. Now, he was out there for some of these.
But he's having a tough time breaking guys off the dribble.
Of course. He's 38.
That's what they need. But that's where, and I'm not saying Jordan Poole, but that's where Jordan Poole excelled at is breaking his man off the dribble. They miss that right now. They miss that. They don't, outside of Steph, you don't really have anybody who can do that.
But compounding that problem is the fact that Wiggins has been kind of MIA this year. Him being a mid-range guy or being someone that you could throw the ball to the mid-block and get a bucket or go downhill and get a bucket, like, he's not giving you that. It feels like it's been about a year where he's just been meh.
Well, let's listen to this because I want to wake up these airlines. 888 airwaves. 888-957-9570 is the number. Anthony Slater's going to join us at 8 o'clock. Kate Rooney, 9:20. By the way, Brian Baldinger will join us live in studio from 8 to 10 o'clock. 8 to 10 o'clock on Friday. Baldy will be live in studio. We'll have some fun. We'll have some good conversation.
What's going on, Roasters?
Yeah, that's right. It won't be a Q&A. We'll just converse. We'll just chop it up with three of us here. But, man, this is great stuff from Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. Now, I know a lot of Warrior fans will scoff at Paul Pierce for the beef with Draymond Green, but they have a fun show. I like KG. I like Paul Pierce. They keep it all the way 100, and these are two Hall of Famers. Like, lost in the sauce, Paul Pierce was one of the greatest Celtics scorers of all time.
That's not even up for debate.
The truth will set you free. That is the truth. Well, Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, they were talking about the Golden State Warriors and having a discussion. Here's Paul Pierce on Andrew Wiggins and Jordan Poole.
The Warriors.
Yeah.
Are you worried? And if so, what is your level of worry, number-wise, 1 to 10?
Right now, currently, I'm worried. It's like an 8.
Wow.
Yeah, because for the simple fact.
That's major, P.
Yeah, that's major. Well, the mistakes actually, the Golden State, it's on them, but it's on the players that they brought in. Like, think about this. Like, right now, with that core, if Wiseman had turned into what they needed him to turn into.
Jordan Poole,
Kuminga.
Kuminga and Wiggins was part of that.
And Wiggins, they supposed to keep the dynasty going. Mm-hmm. But they didn't pan out like they thought they would because no way it should be all this stuff talked about Klay Thompson when you brought Wiggins in to, eventually take on that type of Klay Thompson role to take the pressure off of him to where he don't have to, as he gets older and the miles under his belt, dealing with the injuries, dealing with the long playoff runs. Wiggins supposed to be giving you what Klay giving you now to where Klay could kind of take a step back and be like the third wheel. You know what I'm saying?
So that's them on Wiggins, Poole, and Kuminga supposedly supposed to help out the core and extend
hard to argue with that.
It's hard to argue. It's hard to argue with that.
I mean, I look. I think it's easy to say the last year for Wiggins, for a variety of reasons. Okay, some of which we all understand. Okay, it has been underwhelming.
Yep.
He has not given them the bang for the buck. Then I turn the page to Kuminga. All right, Kuminga has not taken off the way we all want him to take off. Like, he does some good things, and then he has a couple of bad games where he's literally unplayable. So it feels like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Now, we can argue about runway and how much time, but to me, he has not consistently made it. I have to play. Like, if he continued to play really well, like right now, Podziemski, for example, has made the most of a lot of his opportunities. Now, I think he's gotten a pretty long runway, but he's made the most of them.
It feels like he's gotten more of a runway to Kuminga and Moody, and they've been here for 3 years.
I also think that he's brought a little more to the table than Kuminga at times in terms of IQ, feel, pass, defensive,
That's the thing with Kuminga, though. He could pass. When he's in that dunker, he's an underrated passer.
At no point have I saw
not a dumb player.
And I said, like, get him out of the game. He's unplayable. Would you agree?
At times I'm like, kid's a little wild. Kid's a little wild at times.
But like there are games where JK looks lost.
Yeah, there are games.
And it's different because I believe when you have a ball in your hand, you you're going to look more acclimated to the offense if you're a point guard as opposed to a wing player. It's hard to get going as a wing player. That I acknowledge.
And a lot more college seasoning.
Well, that's
Podziemski, we got to be careful here. He's playing a lot of minutes, and the Clippers figured him out, and they went at him Saturday. They went at him.
I don't think anyone thinks he's the answer.
Right. So
I'm just using him as a comparative piece.
No, I understand what you're doing.
And then obviously Wiseman,
I understand what you're doing, but that you talk about that runway. Kuminga hasn't gotten that runway. Whether or not he is lost to the sauce at times. Look, Thursday night he played very well against the Clippers. He was efficient, 6 of 9. He scored 21. He was rebounding. It was like, wow, look at JK taking that next step. And then Saturday he gets 16 minutes. So the inconsistencies with minutes, and he gets in his own head thinking, boy, I'm not even playing yet. But I want to. But
here's real quick before you go to that sound. There has to be some give. And then someone else on the other end has to take a little. So who is the person that he is playing with at their expense? Is it Wiggins or Clay?
This has to be on Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr has to make, because Steve Kerr admitted that it was wrong to pull Moody in the Sacramento game. Steve Kerr obviously went with his veterans. Steve Kerr has got to adapt and say, you know what, let me ride these youngsters a little longer. Now, he had to ride Podziemski. I get it. Chris Paul's out. Yeah, and he played 37 minutes and he had some moments. But, boy, in that third quarter, James Harden said, please, You want to keep this kid in front of me? It was not a good night for him defensively in that game. It was not.
The other element, which I think we've kind of actually undersold, it's like you lost a 23-year-old who played every game for the last 3 years in Jordan Poole. We could talk about all the things he's not, right? But availability and just being a ball handler and a consistent scorer, like there's something to be said for playing every game.
Well, no, there's something to be said for scoring 20 a night in the NBA. Andre Iguodala said he had a bad year and he scored 20 points a game.
No, you're right.
People laugh at that.
You're right.
People laugh at that like it's so easy. Oh, he scored 20 points a game. Blah, blah, blah. But he was a guy who could get to the free throw line and break down the defense.
He was a headache. There's no doubt about it at times. It's undeniable. But I wonder
why he became a headache. I wonder why.
That doesn't excuse all of his decision making.
I wonder why. You get punched in the face. If I ever punched you in the face, the show would be done, Shasky.
Of course it would.
Seriously.
But be like, he's not a perfect player. He was an ascending player, and we gave him up for a 38-year-old who's more injured. And although he's a very good player, and I really like Chris Paul, that was your one trade piece.
And you've got slower.
And older.
So Paul
and
Pierce,
less available.
So here's Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. Do they need to make moves? Do the Warriors need to make moves?
What do? What's the solution to all this, Pete? Did you break this up?
You got to make a trade, bro.
And two,
you got to make a trade.
It's too heavy on Steph.
I still believe in Steph.
I believe in him,
I believe in Draymond, that you can still build around them if you put the right pieces, that they can win a championship. But you got to make some moves. As currently constructed, this team is barely a playoff team.
I know, this team is not a playoff team.
It's not a playoff team.
At all.
Well, a play-in team?
No. Not at all.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Well, I'm just watching teams get better than them.
So, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce. What's the name of Kevin Garnett's podcast? It was on Showtime. It's really, I love KG. I know some people don't like him. I love KG because he gave you everything he had every single night on the basketball court. But are they a playoff team right now? 888-957-9570. And I may agree with them. Right now, number one is Minnesota. They're 15-4, and they're rolling.
They look hungry and young. And it looks like Gobert has unlocked the fountain of youth for Defensive Player of the Year.
KG Certified. KG Certified is the podcast. And you can watch it on YouTube. KG Certified. Really good. So Minnesota's 15-4, number one. Oklahoma City, who we'll see Friday night again for the fourth time this season. And they just swept the Warriors at Chase Center.
They're
13-6. Young and hungry.
Wow. I mean, they might have three of the more fun players in the league right now.
All right.
SGA, Giddey. I know Giddey's got stuff going on. And obviously Chet Holmgren has been outstanding. Outstanding.
Jalen Williams from Santa Clara.
Yes.
Jalen Williams from Arkansas.
One, the shooters off the bench.
Lou Dort.
Isaiah Joe.
Yeah, Lou Dort's playing well.
Yeah, Torture Chamber. It's the best nickname right now.
Number 3 in the West. It's the Denver Nuggets. They're the champs.
With only the best player on the planet.
Yeah, and they're 9-0 at home. Good luck beating them at Denver.
Not even playing close to
No, they're coasting right now. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They're 2 games out of first place. Then you got the Lakers. As much as I don't like the Lakers, I know the Lakers will make a move, and they still have LeBron and AD. And also Reeves compliments them well, and they're a factor. They're a tough team to beat in a 7-game series.
When AD plays well, like like last night, what do you have, like 25 and 15 or whatever?
15 rebounds, yeah.
It's
27.
Like, he's just a monster.
Nurkic was a non-factor.
I mean,
Nurkic was a non-factor, so the Lakers are a problem.
He's a monster.
And they're better than the Warriors.
Well, in Austin, like they've got nice role players that understand, hey, if I got to start, I'll start. If I got to come off the bench, I'll come off this. Like there doesn't seem to be, I don't know. They just all seem to be on the same page.
So then you get to Sacramento, Dallas, and Phoenix. We haven't seen Dallas yet. We know about Luka and Kyrie, Tim Hardaway Jr. We'll see about them. Phoenix, they beat the Warriors twice already. We'll see them next Tuesday night. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker playing at a very high level. And then you get Sacramento, who the Warriors are 2-1 against, but they're a lot closer. That gap ain't that wide between Sacramento and the Golden State Warriors, if it is a gap at all. And then you get the Clippers, who are trying to figure things out. They're 6-4 in the last 10. And you get the Pelly Pels. Trey Murphy III is back. Herb Jones is back. And they dismantled Sacramento the other night. They've dismantled Sacramento 3 times in the last 3 weeks.
So as you read all of those off.
Oh, and then one more team.
Yes.
Because the Warriors are now 11th in the West. You know who's in 10th place? The Houston Rockets. Oh. They're 8-9.
Well, you struggled to put away.
Now the Rockets are funny. They're 8-1 at home. They're 0-8 on the road. But Emo Duncan, they're no punks. That's for sure.
Bonte, so after you've read off all of that and where the Warriors lie in terms of the standings,
are they a playoff team?
I mean, by playoff you mean play in? Like
they're not even a playing team right now.
I know, but you're asking me 7-8, 9, 7-8, and then 9-10. Right. Sure, they're a play-in team. That's pretty disappointing. I just think they're underperforming. And I think that they've got some redundant parts, and they need to provide clarity. They've got too many what ifs up in the air. Well, what if should I start this guy? Should I play this guy longer? Should I close with that guy?
Right.
They need a clear pecking order, and right now I don't think that they have it. And it feels like you have older players that are in transition, and you have younger players who will never get the benefit of the doubt because of the way that the pecking order is going right now.